Okay, welcome to the end of the month. Now, I do realize that I was supposed to put out one of those documentary type videos, and I was going to do Puppet Magic this month. I miscalculated the amount of Mondays in the month. I thought there were 5, so I was kind of planning on doing what I'd done already, and then do the Puppet Magic one, and then do the book review. Which was, would be there for the last Monday of the month. And last week I realised, I looked at the calendar and I thought, oh, hang on, there's a week missing. Totally buggered that up. I totally buggered up this entire past month, actually. And I was on a lot of fronts, but yeah, I do apologise for that. So what I'm going to do, I'll do the book review, that's normal. I'll do the past series next week because it's the first Monday of the month. And then I'll do the Puppet Magic one. I'll fit it in next month, and we'll just go on from there. Okay. There are 5 Mondays in next month. I'll have to just double check just in case, but as far as I remember, there are 5 in next month. Alright, so today is book review, and I am doing this one. So let me just make myself just a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so this is Craft of the Wise by Vikki Bramshaw. Now, this, if you're looking for a 101 book, this is another one of them. It's really, that's really what it is. It's a witchcraft, neo-Wicca, 101 book. Really nothing more to it. There are a couple things I just wanted to actually go through and mention, which are kind of specific to this book itself, but really nothing more than that. A lot of people keep saying we've got so many 101 books out there. When are we going to get the 102 or the 201, whichever numerology we're talking about? When are we going to get that stuff? And people kind of they come to magic, they come to the craft, they come to ceremonial magic, whatever it is. Usually the craft, actually, witchcraft itself, neo-Wicca, neo-paganism. And they get to a certain point where they've got the knowledge now and they just want to share it with people. And nothing wrong with that, absolutely nothing wrong with that. The problem we do end up with is just it really is usually a repeat of things that we've read in the past. So, unfortunately, that's what it is, what it boils down to, but it doesn't mean that these books are not worth reading. Every time I do read a 101 book, I kind of like, there are some areas I will skip through because I've read them over and over and over again. It's exactly the same material. But every now and again you come across a little gem within one of the books. So they are kind of worth reading. And if you've been practicing for a while, going back to the 101 books is actually great. I'm always saying, go back to the basics, go back to the beginning. Start with, every now and again, just start from scratch, start right from the beginning. And sometimes I will actually scrap everything that I'm doing and I will start with a 15-minute sitting still meditation, and I'll build up my meditation again, like I teach my own students. And it's a valuable lesson, it's a valuable thing to do, and there's therefore nothing wrong with going back through these 101 books and kind of recapping what you've been through in the past, what you remember going through, and all those things. Anyway, so Craft of the Wise, Vikki Bramshaw. There were a couple things when I started, before I actually even started reading this, I had a look at who Vikki Bramshaw was. I've never heard of her before. She does present herself as an eclectic pagan or an eclectic witch. That kind of put up a bit of a big red bells and red flags for me. I don't like the term eclecticism myself. As you probably know, if you've been watching my videos for a while, I did a video a while back now, some months back, about eclecticism versus syncretism, etc. And when it comes to eclecticism, it is very much cherry picking the best bits, the bright and sparkly bits, and not actually understanding the history behind it. However, I do believe, after reading the book, I do believe the author may have been using the term eclecticism in a different manner, because the author does actually know their stuff. It's not like they are completely ignorant. The other thing is, when you start reading the book, there is the term gypsy comes up, and I can't really say that everybody knows about knows not to use the term gypsy, because it is derogatory term. But I would have thought an author of this caliber, at least, would know that it's a derogatory. I can't say that word today. A bad word. Let's just use that rather. Yeah, the word gypsy is, you just don't use the word gypsy. It's insulting to the Romani people. So anyway, getting past those little rants and quirks, let's get on to the book itself. All right, so let's go to the actual chapters. This was, let me just go through this, second edition 2018, with a new introduction by the author. Doesn't actually, let me just see if there's a copyright page. Kindle version was 2022. There's no original date, so I don't know when this was first published. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. So I can't really say. Alright, so don't really know when it was first published, but this was 2018, this Kindle version 2022. Alright. So all of the usual stuff, talks about the craft of the wise, talks about the ancestors themselves. Revival of witchcraft goes through very much Gardner, Sanders, and also a mention of Cochrane. So the usual stuff, talking about modern witchcraft, the development of modern witchcraft. There is a strong influence of Gardnerian Wicca in here. There's a lot of mention of the Pharaohs. Oh yeah, there's also somebody else they actually mentioned. Hang on, let me just go to that chapter, and I can sort of skip through it and see what people that are mentioned. So we've got Doreen Valiente, Robert Cochrane, Alex Sanders, Stuart Farrer, Janet Farrer and Gavin Bone, and Sybil Leake. Yeah, so that is the people, the people who started, the modern witchcraft movement, and kind of where, I don't know where I am anymore. Hang on, let me just pull right back there. There we go. No, back there. Go. There we go. Oh, maybe paperbacks are easier to review than these. Anyway, so the elements and tools of the craft, that goes through various tools. It does kind of go into, as I was saying just now, let me get back to that actually. So there's a lot of mention of Stuart and Janet Farrer's book, which is Bible. A lot of material referred to in there, but when it comes to, there's some mixture of Cochrane law and Gardnerian law, in that it is very much neo-Wicca. This is very much neo-Wicca, very much neo-paganism, with circle casting in that manner, the fivefold kiss, all of this stuff that's been taken from Gardnerian Wicca. But does have some inclusions of Cochrane law, as in talking about the compass, talking about the stang. Those things are not often mentioned in Gardnerian Wicca itself. So there's a bit of a syncretism between those two. See, I'm using the word syncretism rather than eclecticism. Yeah, so it goes through the tools, giving the gods a name. It talks about the gods and the goddesses, actually connecting with them, creation and manifestation. Then it starts getting into spell work, working with energy, talking about the ritual components, ritual practices, talks about the solar year, so the Sabbats, goes through that briefly. It's really an introduction to things. this is where things get a bit different. It goes into wart cunning. Yes, a lot of 101 books will go into wart cunning, working with herbs and incenses. But then goes into astrology. Usually with 101 books, when it gets into divinatory aspects, they're usually talking about tarot and pendulum. This just goes straight into astrology. But astrology is such a huge topic. It's massive, massive, massive topic. And this is discussing it very briefly, and it's actually written from the perspective of somebody within the coven who is an astrologer. So it's not like somebody who doesn't actually understand what they're talking about, but it gives a brief introduction to it. So can't in a one chapter you can't really go into any detail. So it's all really introductions. Manifesting deity within. This starts going into evocation and invocation. In the aspect of invocation, it's really mentioning the Gardnerian Wiccan aspect of doing that, drawing down the moon into the priestess via the fivefold kiss. That then goes into a kind of ritual you can do in order to invoke. And when we're talking about invocation here, we're talking about actual possession, bringing the spirit of the entity into your body to speak through you. So it goes into a more simplified version of it for individuals and people who are not part of a coven, who can go through the full process itself. Then he goes into psychic self-defense, which is actually a pretty damn good chapter. I just want to actually go through that. Here we go. There's quite a good mention. I mean, there's obviously a lot of mention of vampiric attacks and how to defend yourself against that. But it goes into defense work, actual counterattacks, preventative defense, setting boundaries, which is a very good thing, regardless of what it is. Goes into some more folk magic stuff, curative defense, use of talismans and amulets. The Lepidote's tooth, which is referring here to actually the toadstone, which is somewhat different to what I remember the whole toad bone. And the aspect of the toadman, horse whisperers and stuff in relation to that being, but law's different. Goes into puppets, bottle spells, and binding spells, and at the end of various sections through the book, it goes into these tasks. So it gives you these little exercises you can do, which is quite good. Creating boundaries again. Removing chords, so group method, and I think, no there isn't, it's just a group method. So this is really chord cutting, ritual of the rose cross, that from the golden dawn, go into lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, yeah, so there's a lot, and then planning, practice, and planes of existence. You go back to the contents. All right, so starts going into working in the astral realm and specifically working with astral temples, doing trance work and journey work and things like that, and then magic and spell work. Let me just go there because I can't remember what was in there now. I think there is a discussion of candle magic in this book. Okay, having a look at the microcosm, macrocosm, and weird relationship between those aspects. The site, developing the site, just basic principles behind doing spell work itself, ethics, forms of magic, going to witch bottles, cord magic, there's mention of cord magic, knotted cords, goes into the witch's ladder, but really again it's introductions, it's not amulets and talismans, it's not too in-depth. If you want to actually get a bit more knowledge about a specific thing, then you can obviously go and explore that further. But this gives you the introductions and gives you a starting point, really. So yes, very much a 101 book. But it is a good book. I enjoyed reading it. I actually enjoyed going through it myself. And it's one, if somebody is just starting out on the pagan path and neo-paganism, starting out on magic in general, really, and doesn't know where to go, this is a great start. It really is. But as I said, this isn't the only book which you can pick up as a 101 book and go, oh, this is a good start. There's hundreds and hundreds and probably thousands of them by now. My go-to in this regard is always Marianne Green's book, A Witch Alone. That's a fantastic book. It goes through a 13-month training program, and it's brilliant. It really is. And it is, again, it's neo-paganism, but it ventures a bit more into traditional witchcraft and folklore, folk magic, instead of the hard and fast Gardnerian aspects of people like the Pharaohs and A Witch Bible, where they actually wrote about all of the various Gardnerian Wiccan rituals. But yeah, if you are looking for a starting point, something you can safely get yourself started with and moving into, this is a good book to actually pick up. Sorry, let me just show you the title page again. There you go, the cover page. And that's really it for that book. Obviously, as always, I will put a link to the book to Amazon, to the paperback, in the thingy above, up the top here somewhere, and I'll put it in the description below as well, in case you want to go pick up a paperback. I do earn a commission from Amazon with the paperback sales, so if you do buy a paperback, I thank you greatly for that. I put that money towards coupons to use on Amazon, so I can buy more books to review them. Alright, so that's it, really. Okay, so have a good one, and I'll see you next week. Cheers for now. Bye bye.